what a good time. And that's not only coming from me, but obviously I talked to a whole bunch of different people over the weekend, and that was the general sentiment. It was this collective, maybe a sigh of relief, and paired with this sense of excitement to just embrace fighting games, and more specifically, embrace an aspect of fighting games that we haven't had for 2 years. I saw my game getting better in real time. There was a particular fire for me that got ignited from that process of watching, talking, and playing in person with all of these different people from all of these different groups, like across the country and across the world, actually. They all speak a common language with you, which is whatever fighting game you play. But they have these different points of view and these different tidbits of information. And yes, you can get some of this stuff on Discord. Yes, the information is technically out there, but I'm saying that social lubrication, the setting, there's something about it that unlocks the communication in a way that you just do not get from watching and interacting online. It's the FGC plus humanity, something like that. I wasn't so sure I was going to make it, but I had an awesome adventure to fabulous Las Vegas over the weekend, and was able to fortunately attend Red Bull Kumite, which was an awesome event. I've been to many events in the past in my time with the FGC, but I had forgotten about some crucial elements about what it is to go to one of these majors. And I have some reports to share on it, but I don't want to get too far ahead of myself. We're still saying hi. We're still asking for likes, subscriptions, all that good stuff.
If everyone doesn't mind, the best way to help out the channel and keep us coming back each and every week with new, better, faster,
stronger.
Stronger. Yeah, I was trying to think of some terms that are PC. But anyway, all those PC terms that you want to clear there, please just leave a like if you don't mind. It helps us out a ton. Really super appreciated.
Yes, we'll all be more differently abled. Red Bull Kumite was this weekend, and I think there was, correct me if I'm wrong, a pretty strong engagement as far as we in Event Hubs are concerned, right? People were excited to check this out. I don't know if it's officially the first big event back. I think it is, but it's one of the first, and certainly to this capacity, I would say. This took place in Las Vegas in Caesar's Palace, the very first Evo that I ever went to, and actually the first time I went to Vegas in general. Evo 2010 was in Caesar's Palace in a similar ballroom, so there was a lot of nostalgia for me at this event too. But hot damn, what a good time. And that's not only coming from me, but obviously I talked to a whole bunch of different people over the weekend, and that was the general sentiment. It was this collective, maybe a sigh of relief, and paired with this sense of excitement to just embrace fighting games, and more specifically, embrace an aspect of fighting games that we haven't had for 2 years, widely speaking. And man, the sense of release and relief and just the good feels all around was palpable all weekend long. It was in the fog, the fog machines that were going off constantly, because Red Bull's got some pretty good production values. And they must have put something in that, man, because people were happy.
Oh, hey. Talking about spiking the smoke machines, huh?
What was it like watching on your end?
Oh, it was great. One of the things about it on Event Hubs we know super well is that U.S. timed tourneys, like if you're running on U.S. peak hours, basically, those are some of the most watched tournaments out there. Guilty Gear Strive was incredible to watch. Street Fighter V was great. Like, it was a lot of very fun stuff. Tekken 7, I didn't catch the whole thing, but I caught a little bit of it. It just, that whole vibe, that whole atmosphere of offline tournaments, it was so nice to see it back. So loved it.
I realized that I had taken a lot of that sort of for granted, which is a little bit of a cliche thing to say, but it is true. In getting back out there, and then all of a sudden experiencing those things again, now I would be extra sad if events went away again because of feeling that. But I wanted to sort of dig into it here because if you looked into the stands, there weren't a ton of people actually there. There was a good number, and it felt like a major, but it certainly wasn't, like an Evo or something like that, where you had hundreds and thousands of people at any given time all over the place, and that's of course very understandable. But it did capture the magic, and so I wanted to talk to people about what it was generally like going to a fighting game major here in late 2021. For some of you, you've been, but you haven't been in recent times. And some of you, you've never been to one at all. I'd like to offer something to everybody here. And I think if I were one of the people that didn't attend, one of the first things I would be wondering was, how did things feel in terms of like a kind of a social COVID tension, right? Because that's something that we're all kind of like, oh, is everybody around me going to feel safe and secure, or have me at an arm's length? And how do I feel about all of this stuff? And what are you allowed to do? And how much are you allowed to engage with people? And of course, there are rules there. When you're in a Vegas casino, you're supposed to be wearing a mask. Red Bull had a similar rule, like when you're in the venue, you need to be wearing your mask. I think everybody had to get checked out for have a negative COVID test and whatnot. And so there were masks there, but there are also rules like, if you're eating or drinking, you don't have to have it on. And so what that leads to is like, people are wearing and not wearing masks, or their own policy was not,
Hmm.
not the most pristine. And so, would there be that sort of social tension? And I didn't feel it almost at all while I was there in terms of interacting with other people.
No, no, John. If I'm attending an event for the first time, why do you say that the social aspect is the most important part? Why is it that way?
Well, that's the thing that gets the warm feelings going, the best memories. So, okay, so when you're playing and you're there to attend a tournament, the first place your mind goes to is probably how well are you going to do, and you're worried about, performing and meeting whatever your tournament goals are, and that is a big deal. And if you do well, then hey, that's probably going to be the highlight of your trip. But a lot of people go 0 and 2, and a lot of people don't
Yep.
do as well as they wanted to, and then your tournament runs over, and then what do you have? You have the rest of the community, right?
Hmm.
And I find that as cool as a good tournament run is, and that's awesome, there is much more consistency in terms of good times, and I would say the best times, outside of if you win or something like that, are had at IHOP or Denny's after the tournament's over, or in the evenings or whenever you go out with the group and you hang out and you exchange, whether it's tech or stories or how you've been, or you're giving somebody crap or whatever. Those are the moments where you learn the most, you forge new relationships, you grow the relationships, you network, and that is, oh, it's so valuable. I mean, this is
Hmm.
coming obviously from a journalist from Event Hubs, writing, and so I appreciate networking, but even beyond that, just the social aspect of growing your relationships, getting new friends, having new people to maybe practice with later on, even if that's, like online, you guys go to your other sides of the country later. Those are the things that stick with you, the new
Yeah.
contacts that you make.
And for a lot of people who are like, look, I've interacted with the FGC online and on Twitter and on forums or Reddit and stuff like that. That's not how the FGC behaves offline. Like, you might run into someone who has cursed you up and down and whatnot, and then they're like, "Oh, are you so and so from Twitter?" Like, "Oh, like, I'm so sorry about saying that your IQ was the equivalent of that of a sea slug, and that I watched your dog and cat and everything got ran over and you died. I was really just kidding," kind of thing. I've literally had those experiences where people were like cuss me out online, and I meet them in person, and they're like really nice and really good about stuff.
Hmm.
And it's kind of amazing that what online kind of breeds in terms of maybe salt and other stuff when latency is involved in fighting games and other things. So it really is kind of a very different atmosphere, and you do see sometimes some intense situations come up, but they are few and far between. They really don't happen often unless you're playing Marvel.
It is, yeah. It is
Mhm.
to more succinctly
Mm.
put it, I would say something like it's the FGC plus humanity, something like
Yes.
that.
Yes.
Because we're
Mhm.
so used to interacting on social media and only seeing small glimpses and only experiencing other people via the tweet that they put out and then the emotional immediate reaction that we had to that tweet. And it's just so not the whole picture. Sometimes it's
Mhm.
not part of the picture almost at
At
all,
all. Yeah.
but you can make friends with your enemies at places like this. That there's so much more social lubrication and back and forth and whatnot, that it is really something that you have to experience yourself. And there is a drawback, of course, to having to spend the money and the time to travel and make accommodations. And if you're in Vegas, you're like lucky if you can get away with a $20 meal, only $20. And so I understand that, but I do think that if you are if you are reasonably invested into the FGC, you should make it a point. Start a savings, start a jar where you throw your extra change in there if people still have change. I don't even know if that's a thing really, where you can build up a savings and go and attend at least one of these things to see what it's like, because it is incredibly valuable and it is an element of the FGC that without this you are not getting the full picture of what the fighting game community has to offer, and you are heavily missing out. So I don't say that to to make people feel bad. I say make it a goal to attend at least one, and
Hmm.
when you do, make it a point to be social,
Yes.
because and that's not like you don't have to be someone that you're not, but practice talking to people and like and saying hi in a respectful way. But sometimes that's all it takes to then get invited with a group of people, like, oh hey, there's K-Brad, what's up K-Brad, oh
Hmm.
yeah, we were about to go out to to Denny's and or IHOP, come on with
Hmm.
us,
Yep.
something like that. And that's what leads to those kinds of moments, and that's what leads to, hey, I can't hang out right now or talk, but maybe we can play some casuals at some point. Let me add you on Twitter. You make opportunities for yourself, and that helps you grow your circles, grow your fighting game abilities, share tech, things like that. There's so much value in these events.
Hmm.
Support for the Event Hubs podcast is brought to you by MANSCAPED today, which offers precision engineered tools for your family jewels. Manscaped has just launched their 4th generation trimmer, the Lawnmower 4.0. And we have an exclusive offer for you today. If you go to manscaped.com, you will get 20% off and free shipping and handling if you use the checkout code EHUBSPOD when you check out. 20% off, free shipping and handling, and it lets them know that we sent you. And that's a really important part of the process.
Yeah. Manscaped was actually kind enough to send us both the perfect package 4.0, which includes not only the Lawnmower 4.0, but also the Crop Preserver, which is an anti-chafing ball deodorant, and the Crop Reviver, which is a ball spray toner. Both of these do wonders below the belt, leaving you feeling comfortable and looking confident. We need to look confident, John, and also smell like you care. And you know what, John? I tried this out with a wife last night, and she liked it.
Ooh.
So if you're trying to please the ladies, this worked on my lovely wife.
We know that the FGC doesn't exactly have the best resume, the best track record, the best perception, let's say, when it comes to hygiene. Well, fair enough. Let's start today. We have an opportunity. We can take a high quality product, and I've been using it. I've been using all of these. I deem them high quality. John, are they high quality?
Oh, they're great. They're
Absolutely.
definitely
20% off, free shipping and handling, and we can begin dismantling a stereotype with the Lawnmower 4.0 and its accompanying ball products. One of the things I wanted to point out about the Lawnmower is it has a ceramic blade, which means less snags, less catching, less cuts, stuff like that. And when you're trimming your balls, that's like one of the most important parts about it. It also has a 4000K LED light, so you can see exactly what you're doing no matter how deep and dark you've allowed your pube pores to grow.
That light is amazing. It is so nice to have. I never knew I needed it until I tried this, and now I'm like, I'm never using anything else without that light on there because it's a ball saver. Also, Manscaped's going to take really good care of our audience out there because they can get 20% off.
I forgot about that.
Yeah, hey, it's a good deal. Just use that code EHUBSPOD at manscaped.com. That's 20% off with free shipping at manscaped.com. Again, just punch in that code EHUBSPOD, unlock your confidence, and always use the right tools for the job with Manscaped.
Balls.
There are some members of the FGC who are, not as socially gifted as others. So, if you see these faces at events, John and John here, please come up and say hi. We love talking to the fans. Like, that is one of our favorite parts of going to these shows. And then there's a couple other people I give shout outs because I know like there's just freaking warm and awesome people. Michael Yipes. Michael Yipes is just awesome. And then Tasty Steve. Tasty Steve will make you feel like $1,000,000. Oh, well, sorry, I don't want to put that pressure on him, but Steve is so awesome. Like, and there's a lot of very warm people on the FGC, and if you don't get a great response from someone, like, realize like it can be socially awkward for a lot of us. Like, we're not not everyone is a social butterfly, right? But keep trying to talk to people. Most people are just so happy to be talking fighting games in person to other people. It's so much fun. It's so invigorating. And then on the note of like getting better too, some of the best tips I've ever gotten for improving skill wise have happened in offline events. It's some people are so much more willing to like, if you lose a match to someone, you can like oftentimes say like, hey, what do you think of like what I'm doing here or doing that? And like people are so much more willing to share technology and just general advice when you're in that offline setting. It's just so much more friendly, what I've found.
One of my notes here is to say that casuals are the freaking best.
Mm,
Of course, you can play online at home, and there's value to that, especially when it comes to learning matchups. And if your connection's strong enough, you can absolutely get better at the game, refine your skills. But when you're there's something about sitting in a rotation, that like kind of arcade feel. Yeah, obviously you're not putting your quarter down anymore, but you know you're like I got next. It's 2 out of 3, whatever,
hmm
and you're sitting and you're waiting, and you don't want to lose because then you have to get in the back of the line or go somewhere else to another station. And you know you're getting the opportunity to play someone like Chris CCH or LPN or all of these. There's a bunch of SoCal players there, for instance, and SoCal's got a pretty deep roster. And the to be able to sit down, play next to somebody. These were on PlayStation 5, which even then, I did hear a handful of complaints like, "Oh,
Oh
but it's the
man.
PS5." But that's part
Mhm.
of the FGC experience. You're
Yep.
gonna hear some complaints
Yep.
about the platform you're on, no matter what it is.
You could have the best platform on the planet. People are like, what is this crap? Like, I'm definitely seeing latency on this. It's a damn monitor or it's a damn port that I'm putting my joystick into or something. Like, it's always going to be something. So, but yeah.
PC load letter.
What the
Uh,
heck does that mean?
yeah. But there is and you can appreciate this idea no matter who you are. There's a very big difference between you sit and you play, and then a match plays out, and however it's going to play out, and then you can turn to the person next to you and say, "What were you on? Were you plus there, or why is
hmm
this working, or whatever it is?" Or you can turn to the person and laugh about how goofy something happened, how something happened and how it played out and how ridiculous it was, and then your feelings of like if it were at home and I just lost a bunch of points for that, there's a certain like frustration that I'm trying to deal with for the rest of the day, versus in there you just kind of laugh at like, oh well, that was a ridiculous situation and that's fine. There's just I don't know, a lot of things happen in a I don't know, a more positive capacity than
hmm
in that kind of state. And so casuals, at the same time, I felt like I could go from watching the pros to then directly applying some of the lessons I was learning. And for me personally, it was just like allowing myself to do things that are quote unquote scrubby, like wake up jab
hmm
more freely because I was like, the pros are doing it there. I went and implemented it, and then between observing and then talking with people, I could see in real time my game getting better. And maybe that was just a level of confidence, but regardless of what it was, I saw my game getting better in real time. There was a particular fire for me that got ignited from that process of watching, talking, and playing in person with all of these different people from all of these different groups, like across the country and across the world actually, and they all speak a common language with you, which is whatever fighting game you play. But they have these different points of view and these different tidbits of information. And yes, you can get some of this stuff on Discord. Yes, the information's technically out there, but I'm saying that social lubrication, the setting, there's something about it that unlocks the communication in a way that you just do not get from watching and interacting online.
Yeah.
So I would say again, if you can make it a point, make it a goal to come out to at least one of these things, and be open and free in your communication. And it's something that everybody in the FGC should experience at least once.
John, it sounds like to me like you were watching a lot of Street Fighter 5 and you were having that translate directly to your gameplay and having it improve and stuff like that. Sounds to me like you're saying Street Fighter 5 is a highly watchable game.
Yeah,
Maybe over Street
I
Fighter
would say
4
it's got
even.
some good watchability to it. I wouldn't say it's as watchable as
I just give
Street
it a
Fighter
crap.
4
Yeah.
might be. Oh no, we're invested in this now. I'm going to give you a response of legitimate.
But
Yeah, you
if
heard it here
you're
first. Street Fighter 5, most watchable of all the Street Fighters. Tell us in the comments why we're wrong.
Yes. But if and for people who don't know how casuals work, it's kind of intimidating because you'll see a casuals area. It should be labeled, or it should be kind of obvious. They've got a bunch of setups and people playing a variety of games. just go up to the setup that you want to play on, and it's not a like invite only kind of thing. Just say, hey, I got next, and that's all you have to do, and the people should close out their set and clear a spot for you. Whoever loses, winner stays on. Really simple
Mhm.
thing. It's really
There
easy to
might
see.
be a line already, so
Yeah,
you've got
yeah.
next after last, but yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. Just kind of look around and see, but a lot of times it looks like people aren't going to clear out on the set unless you say, "Hey, I got next." So if there's no line or anything like that, just that's how you
Mhm.
put yourself in the queue, and there it is. It's a
Yep.
real simple
Okay.
pro tip for you. So
Oh, I want one more thing I want to make mention of. When in the last chance qualifier, Chris CCH was making a particularly good run, and it wasn't just his matches that people were watching, but as the LCQ sort of whittled down to the top contenders, and Tekken Grand Finals I think were playing during this time, and but the Street Fighter crowd was just like in the old days, the old days, were just huddled around where you can barely see what's going on. Like you move your head this way so you can see the meter, and then you move your head this way so you can see life bars. And it's
yeah,
as we would say at Super Arcade, nuts to butts. I don't know
yeah,
if we'll get edited for that, but there is also a magic in that. And like, yeah,
yes.
you come away with a kinked neck, but I don't know, man. People clamoring over each other to experience the hype of the moment. The only reason that as far as I can tell, the reason that there's a difference there between, watching it online and being there is that you can also see the two people that are going through this, and you can feel with them that experience and that reaction. One of them loses and you feel bad. In this instance, I remember watching Chris CCH and Shine play, and like 3 or 4 different times throughout the rest of the weekend, I heard different people say, I feel so bad for Shine, who lost, and it was very
Hmm.
close. And of course, Chris CCH was a story in and of himself and in his run over the weekend. But you saw him get up and celebrate, and you have this spirit. It's the immediate spirit bomb energy is immediately there. You don't have to send it, and oh, it's palpable.
Yeah, LCQs are some of the most hyped stuff in the FGC, and it's kind of a shame that some of them like don't get the priority on streaming that we'd like to see, because it's kind of a notorious thing, unfortunately, with LCQs. The last chance qualifiers are some of the most hyped stuff, and if you're going to go and watch stuff offline, I highly recommend the LCQs, because it's that rawness, that intensity, that energy is very much there through pretty much every LCQ I've ever been to. It just it's a really unique experience. I highly recommend going to them. A lot of fun.
Good times.